Part of scientific observation is the analysis of data. We have to go back, revisit what we wrote, because we can look for patterns and trends. First, we can look for patterns and trends in how we're observing. And this is a great self-reflective piece that all of the adults should be engaging in that are doing observations in the classroom. Are we focusing only on certain children? Where in the classroom do we tend to focus our observations? By knowing this, we can broaden the scope of what we're seeing to really get a better and clearer picture of the environment and our tendencies in our own observations. Then we can look at patterns and trends within the group of children and the environment as a whole. What materials are being taken more frequently than others? What grace and courtesy isn't really very effective right now? What routines and procedures aren't working? Now, all of this data is going to help us do some very intentional planning for our group of children. We can also observe, of course, the individual child for patterns and trends. We can look for patterns in behavior. Is there behavior that we see that's happening once a day at a certain time of day, or maybe once a week? Once we can locate that pattern or trend, then we can start to think about the why is it happening? Could someone different be dropping the child off at school? Did the child's living situation change? Is something stressful happening within the home? We want to look for repetition. What is it the child is repeating and how long do they engage in that repetition? We're looking for manifestations of development over time. This is going to help us do lesson planning for the child. Your documentation during observations is critical. We do this analysis and we are really taking a close look at the child and at the group. But you never know when we might have a child that requires special education services. And then your record keeping, your observations may be requested by a child psychologist or a pediatrician or a parent. Perhaps you will end up being part of an education team for a child who may have an IEP, an individualized education plan. Your observations are critical for this team serving the child because you don't just see their strengths and their challenges. You have an eye on their individual development, and this is something that none of those other folks have because you are with that child 5 days a week and you're watching and documenting. So please always engage in a regular practice of writing down these observations, making sure you have a date and maybe sometimes a timestamp. It's going to be so helpful in the event that you may have a child that needs some special services.